does seem to be appealing to significant numbers, particularly of Latino voters, but also black men. What's going on?
The Obama-Biden coalition is in trouble. It's in trouble. And I get beat up every time I say it, but it's obvious that it's in trouble. And it has to do with a number of things. Number one, the white working class guys left for your campaign in 2016, the Democratic Party. And now black and Latin working class guys are following along. And they don't have to follow in massive numbers. Again, this is razor edge stuff. So, I mean, listen, the vast majority of black people are going to vote for President Biden. The vast majority of black women are going to vote for President Biden. The vast majority of black men are going to vote for President Biden, but that's not the point. The point is you have a margin that is hurting and uncertain among black and Latin men as to whether we have a place in this party. It's not easy to talk about, but there is a sense among a lot of guys that you talk to that they're just tired of being lectured, tired of being wrong, tired of being criticized, tired of being called toxic, tired of, frankly, a lot of other groups getting more out of the Biden administration than black folks got.
Also, I would like to add, I think a lot of men, black men specifically, some black men, a lot of black men still follow around this victim mindset, but are tired of hearing about race and this exclusionary politics has been happening. And this is the downfall of the Democratic Party strategy when you try to divide everybody by categories, is eventually people start comparing against each other and seeing, hey, are you treating me as much, are you glorifying me as much as you glorifying transgender people, right? Are you doing as much for me as you're doing for the, what group can I put out? The Hispanics, the illegal immigrants. The illegal immigrants ain't voting for you, Biden. The illegal immigrants ain't out there pushing and supporting you. They taking advantage of Democrat voters. So why aren't you catering to American Democrat voters like you are to the illegal immigrants? And this is some of the stuff that happens when you divide people based on their race. You reintroduce tribalism. And this is the funny part about tribalism, is that the Democrats try to play this little counterbalancing game. And this is a saying that I was taught a long time ago. I don't know if it was by my dad, my family. I don't know. I think it's part of my culture. Like, my culture that taught me this is that when you have a guy that makes promises to a bunch of people, it's impossible for him to keep all of it. I'll say that again. If you got a group of people, all of them think they're different, all of them got different priorities, different needs, it's impossible to cater to all of them. This is why I like American First. If you're an American, I prioritize all of you. But to get special treatment, you asking for privilege there. And this is something I think a lot of black men are realizing too, is that, Democratic Party don't benefit no black man. I can speak from it. Democratic Party don't benefit us. Student loan forgiveness, who that disproportionately benefits in the black community? Black women. How black women are the most educated in the black community, but they're more likely to be evicted than the black man. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. They're out here spending money. Black women are more likely to be in debt, more likely to be evicted. But instead of seeing how their spending habits contribute to this, the fact that black women don't save a lot of money comparatively to their income. If a black woman makes six figures, she probably only save about 10% of that money. While a man who's making $40K a year probably will save about 20% of his money. He'll probably save a lot more of his money because men just spend less money. So we're prepared for unexpected expenses, all this other stuff. Men are more likely to have financial accounts, investment accounts than women. Habits, behaviors. That's been my biggest talking point on my channel, is that your actions and behaviors decide more of your outcomes than your supposed skin color and gender. But the Democrats, when they message about victimhood, what they lead with? Oh, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your actions and decisions that made you get this outcome. It's because of your skin color and your gender. But in the same breath, this same Democratic Party are pushing things and initiatives that black women disproportionately benefit from. This is the reason for black women's loyalty. And then they expect the black men to follow right along and vote with their priorities. So when black women sit here and point in the black man's face, oh, you're voting against your priorities. You're voting against your own interests. No, black men are voting against black women's interests. It reminds me of a Lil Wayne song, and then I'll show you this next clip that kind of articulates my point further. It reminds me of this lyric I used to hear from Lil Wayne that you all about her and she's all about hers. Essentially, that's what the black vote is. Black men are voting because black women vote for the Democratic Party for the most part. Because I don't see no real benefit. If a black man really look at it, how do I get help by the government? Disproportionately welfare goes to black women. Sorry, disproportional. I'm talking about disproportional, right? The black women have this tendency of relying on the government. I mean, I grew up in college. I remember a girl, she'll be on food stamps. And I'm like, why are you on food stamps? You don't really need food stamps. Oh no, help me get by in college. No black man ever thought about that. Oh, I should go on food stamps while I'm in college so I can get some food. Black women are almost like conditioned to use the government system for their benefit. They get into piles of piles on debt, get 2 degrees, and there's no job outcomes for it. How men get themselves out of poverty? Either they got to start a business, work for a job that could provide them that lifestyle. Usually, those are the 2 avenues black men have. And based on that lifestyle, who is better for the black man? More likely than not, it's Republican policies. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Republicans is 100% for the black community or for their priorities. But I'm saying for what the black community needs right now, because y'all been voting Democrat for about 57 years, I think, if my math is correct. And look at the conditions of your community. You're still at the bottom. You're still complaining. You're still education wise. You're not competitive with the rest of the racial groups in America. And all I'm saying is time to try something different. That's literally the black conservative argument. Hey, time to try something different, because the way you are right now, you're guaranteed to vote 90% for the Democratic Party. And that's a problem that I don't think Van Jones is actually articulating. He's trying to make it seem like, oh, it's a bad day in America when black men, working class men, I'm not going to use race anymore, when working class men are going to the Republican Party because the Republican Party is catering to working class men. Here's an example of this. Donald Trump mentioned abolishing the federal income tax. Who could possibly be against this? Who don't want an extra 20 or 37% more in their paycheck? Now, this doesn't go against gender, race, every American benefit from this. This is the opportunity I think a lot of working class men see in Donald Trump. But instead of Democrats offering an alternative policy that can be competitive against this, oh no, you vote for Trump, you're not a black man. Oh, you a coon. Nah, I'm caring about my pocket. Because that's an extra 37%, 20%, because I pay almost 30% in taxes. That's the extra money that can go for my family, my people. I'm talking about my family. Help me with my expenses. And that can benefit a lot of working class men. Because if you look at men produce more in taxes than they actually take from the tax system. Well, women, it's the opposite. Sorry, not sorry. That's the reality. Women contribute less into the tax system, and they take out more from the tax system. Who wants to increase taxes? So essentially, when you say you want to increase taxes, it disproportionately affects men. Right? But now there's some trade-offs rich men make with the Democratic Party. They say, hey, I may be taxed more, but it's harder for people to start up businesses and challenge my market share in the market because I'm already established. I can afford to pay a little extra. But the bottom guy trying to make it out, trying to start his business from the ground up, he's going to have a harder time getting to my level. That's the trade-off rich people make. Because the reality is, no matter what party you vote for, the rich is untouchable. Because the rich can go to the Democratic Party and say, you trying to tax me this much? You better leave a loophole for me. Ask Obama. Oh, we're going to tax the rich. That's a pipe dream they sell you so they can get your vote. And what kind of, and think about it. What kind of man will want his success to be based on someone else's willingness, I guess? And I think that's something that's different from men and how men are wired and how women are wired in general, is that men don't want their success to be dependent on another. This is why I always laugh about this reparation stuff. I'm like, yo, why black? Yo, you're not going to get it because you don't even deserve it in the first place. You didn't face the whips. You didn't have no chain on you. You were born free and you're going to die free. Reparations for people who weren't free. And y'all want to sit here and try to piggyback struggle. That's why I can't really respect the liberals sometimes. Liberal men out here happy that they got their student loan debt forgiven when they made the decision to go into debt in the first place. And they got someone else paying for their actions. That's not how men really think. For the most part, I'm generalizing here, obviously. But you let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I want to show you this clip of how racist and progressives agree on a lot of things if you think about it. And this is kind of some of the things that Democrats don't want to reflect on, is that a lot of their progressivism is rooted in racism, really. Your race is their most important identity about you. They mix culture with race, aka equating behavior with race. If I show up on time, I speak proper English, I'm very articulate, clean, you're gonna be like, oh, you're trying to act white. When really I'm just displaying behaviors that has a high probability of success in my country. If I go to China and I speak standard Mandarin, right? When you're in Rome, you do as the Romans do. But for some reason, we have this, like, here's something even simple, because not black people, woke people like to focus on racial disparities, and they don't have a proper argument because they're very shallow thinkers, superficial thinkers. They think one factor determines all your outcomes, which is ridiculous, by the way. Or fact, there's multitudes of factors that comes into why you have a different outcome than another group of people. For instance, black wealth. I love going to this point. Older Americans make more money than younger Americans. Older Americans tend to have more assets than younger Americans. Look up the average age between a black American and white America, and you're going to see white America is like, the average age is like 50, while in black America, the average age is like 30. And then, boom, I just explained your racial wealth gap. Single parents are more likely to be in poverty than married parents. Look at the percentage of single motherhood in the black community versus the white community. Black community have disproportionately more, 70%, almost 70%. So that means, hey, a lot of your kids will grow up in poverty. You can't produce generational wealth like that because y'all live paycheck to paycheck. Another factor. But y'all don't like to look at that. The Democrat Party tells you, oh, it's because of racism, and y'all vote 90% for them. And then they wonder why they're losing men. Because men are very practical. Not only in financial decisions, right? When we go out, we buy products, we don't spend a lot of money. Marketing don't really work on men like that. Because men are very practical when it comes to decision making like this. And all I'm trying to highlight is, hey, look, black men, lean into more your practical side when it comes to politics. Stop being guided by emotionalism. Stop following behind the black woman to pretending that y'all both got the same goal. Y'all don't. She all about hers, and you all about her. In politics, that don't work. I'm just saying. Now, I digress. Let's look at this clip about how progressives and racists actually agree on a lot of things. Let's take a quick look.
Me and Brad first met, I didn't think we'd get along, but turns out we kind of agree on everything. Your racial identity is the most important thing. Everything should be looked at through the lens of race.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke. We both have a lot of opinions about people of color, even though we barely know any.
I say colored people, but as long as we're classifying them, we both think minorities are a united group who think the same and act the same.
And vote the same. You don't want to lose your black card. Sorry, I don't know. I just think we should
Roll back discrimination laws so we can hire based on race again. Jinx, now you owe me a Coke. Hey, tell them what you told me yesterday.
White actors should only do voices for white cartoon characters.
I've been saying that for years. Stick to your own.
Us white people, we have so much privilege.
I agree. It is a privilege to be white. Ask him about interracial dating.
All I said is that black men who date white women have internalized racism, and white men that date ethnic women are fetishizing them.
Guys against interracial dating now. Like, am I being pranked? Did Boomer put you up to this?
Ugh, you know that taco place is white owned?
White people should be making white foods, like Kraft macaroni and cheese, no seasoning, not even salt. It's like he's a mind reader. I mean, I've been pushing for segregation forever, and my man does what?
I created an improv comedy show exclusively for ethnic people.
Guy segregates comedy on my birthday.
White people need to stop wearing dreadlocks, and they need to stop appropriating black people's music.
Shaved heads and country music, the way God intended.
You know all white people are racist.
I'm listening.
Even if you have a black wife or a black friend group, you're still really racist.
You know, we just kicked a guy out of the organization for having a black girlfriend, but if you can promise me he's still really racist, we'll consider letting him back in. Black people should only shop at black businesses.
I guess the only thing we really disagree about is I think white people are the root of all evil.
But what did I tell you, though? If we can narrow that down to a certain group of tiny-hatted white people, I think we can come to an understanding.
Technically, I don't consider Jewish people white.
Neither do I.
And then when I say identity politics is racist, affirmative action is racism under new management, I got some black Democrats in the comment section ready to argue with me. Like, that's not the case. And then they try to justify, oh, it's because our ancestors went through. And I'm like, yo, before your ancestors were creating your own schools, that's where historically black colleges came from. Martin Luther King was a third generational college graduate, Boston University, 1960s. third generation college graduate, and you sitting here telling me that, oh, you needed affirmative action to get into schools. W.E. Du Bois was the first black person to graduate from Harvard, but you needed affirmative action. Get out of here. And then if you look at some of the results, affirmative action actually created mismatch theory, and a lot of liberals try to disprove it, but to me, the results are in. Dropout rates for blacks increase after the invention of affirmative action. AKA, you're lowering standards, or you're making, you're not judging people equally, double standards. I thought we said that was racist. I thought you wanted to be judged by the content of your character, not the color of your skin. But progressives and leftists agree, because any day, most racists were progressive. If you look at George Fitzhugh, and this is a guy I always bring up when socialists come in my comment section, or when black people sit here spewing Marxism, the honest socialist, that's what his name was called, because he said that slavery is socialism. The slave don't have to work. The slave works in the benefit of the master, aka the tax system. You take all his fruit of his labor, but he redistributes that labor and benefits from it, and he's responsible for all the slaves on the plantation. AKA, if the slave dies, from cradle to grave, he's being taken care of by the slave master. Now replace the slave master with government, and bam, you got it. Socialism is slavery. But that's what you Marxists want. I'm a Frederick Douglass kind of guy. Like, hey, government do nothing for me. I don't need you to do nothing for me. Get out of my way. That's it. Because I can manage my own freedom. I can accept the responsibility of my own fate. And it seems like a lot of women don't like that. I'm just talking because look, if you look at the stats, single men disproportionately goes, not disproportionately, but they single man goes mostly for the Republican Party. Then you got married women go majority goes to the Republican Party. And then you look at single women, they like 60, 70% goes to the Democratic Party. This is why. Because the facade of the strong independent woman is actually being supported by the federal government. Black conservatives like to say that the black woman made the government their new husband. And now they're trying to do the same kind of marketing and game for all single women. This is why they focus so much on abortion. When working men are like, yo, we don't give a damn about abortion. Look at the economy. Look at how these illegals are threatening my work opportunities. How I'm paying taxes, and now my taxes got to support them too. And look at what we do to these homeless veterans, which disproportionately affects men. Who's speaking to that? Republican Party. Help yourself. Being responsible in command of your own life. You want autonomy? You have to have a responsibility with it as well. But it seemed like, what women like the messaging from the Democratic Party, they want their autonomy under a certain guideline, so that way Democrats are responsible. For instance, hey, you only can get this type of health care, but it's free. Oh, okay, I don't want autonomy. I can do whatever I want, but I'm being artificially supported by the government. This is the game we're playing now. Leftists, we want to tell you what to read, tell you what to eat, tell you what you need to have injected into your body, and tell you how to raise your children. If you disagree with anything we say, we're going to cancel you, censor you, try to hurt you, and try to hurt your family, and do our best to ruin you. If you're black and think on your own, we're cool with racism towards you. Also the left. The right are a bunch of fascists and racists. Projection. And this is something I came to know as I did more research on the political parties, right? 2016 was a big, I didn't vote 2016. But I was, because my dad was a Republican growing up. My mom was a Democrat. And I used to hear, both sides kind of thing. So when Donald Trump was running 2016, I didn't have no Trump derangement syndrome. I was just like, yo, he's honest. He's speaking to a group of people who felt like you guys don't pay attention to them. And I'm not going to be surprised if he wins. And then he won. I was like, oh, shoot. Democracy at work, right? But then I saw all the outrage, and I'm like, yo, why y'all so mad? Republicans win before, y'all gonna be fine. All this exaggeration, oh my God, it's dooms. I'm like, yo, what y'all trying to do here? And that was me 2016, when I was like pretty much politically neutral. The only way you could be politically neutral is if you really not paying attention, but you don't really do deep research into what's going on. That's the only way you can be politically neutral. And I think that's most Americans, the silent majority, those people. And I think that what's driving a lot of black men really is the economy, crime, and the border. Really, I think that's what's driving. Because working class men understand, like, yo, these white collar laptop jobs, they can move anywhere. But working class men are like, yo, I can't move anywhere. I can't just move. If I happen to live in Texas, I'm down for sure voting for Donald Trump. Arizona, I'm thinking about it a lot more now. And then when you look to buy anybody, what you doing to stop the flow of migrants coming in? I'll slow it down. We can't support, even if you slow it down, we can't support all these people. You already let 6 million in, and your term not even finished yet. And this is the kind of thing I think black men specifically are seeing. I think, and look, I'm encouraging anyone to be more practical with their vote, but I know realistically my message, mostly black men will give me the time of day and actually hear what I have to say. Black women are not likely to hear me out. I already told you the stats about Democrat women. They unfriend people who don't associate in the same political affiliation as them. That means they're less open-minded. They're more dismissive. They probably, and since a lot of black women, 70% of y'all raise the children, the children of Black America, you condition the children to think this way too. And this is how black men fall in line of this. Oh, we gotta vote Democrat only. We gotta vote together, because it was taught from their moms. My mom tried to do the same thing to me as a young man. I was 18. Mom put that voter card in front of me. She said, "You're gonna put Democrat." I said, "Why?" Because Democrat for the black people. I said, "I don't know what the hell they stand for. I ain't affiliating with them." And I put independent. Because that's how I've always been as a kid. I already told you about some of my, if you've been following my channel for a while, I already told you some about how I am when I was growing up. I was naturally a contrarian. Someone will say go left, I say why. I'd rather go right. Let's see what right does for me. Literally. I literally think this is why I got different outcomes from most black men. The typical black man, right? The 30K a year. I don't even make that much. I make more money than that. It's because literally, I'll look and I'll question every decision that a black person would make. I said, why you have 10 grand, you put it on a chain. Why not just invest it in the market? Oh, that's what white people do. No, that's what smart people do. It just so happened white people do it more. That's it. But you want to blame skin color instead of blaming behavior. And I think that a lot of men are trying to move away from this victim mindset because they're realizing it's not serving them. Victimhood is just a way to condition people so they could be more controllable. So that way, when a candidate is saying something that you can't really argue with, you just call them a racist, and those people are conditioned to move away from that, be scared of that. This is why the Democrats leverage racism so much. Say racist, oh, you're racist, and this is why racist has lost its meaning in society, is because the Democrats, through the education system that I complain about a lot, has educated the black community and many of these minority communities. 70% of America are educated in government schools. Teach them and condition them how to respond when they hear someone say, oh, you're racist. You hear allegations and you take it as if it's truth. Men understand this a lot, especially with college campuses and the Me Too movement. Merely an allegation can destroy your future. Racism of the R word, we all know what that R word is. It rhymes with grape. Your whole life is ruined. And you're like, yo, what happened to innocent until proven guilty? And then we see the same thing happen to Trump, and we be like, yeah, we know what's going on here. But it's racist to assume black men are identifying with Trump. Here's the funny part about this, and I think I'll end it here. Men usually, this is just based on my experience anyway. I'll speak for myself here. Men usually can identify with anyone, and they don't have to see skin color. Example, 300. Make any man watch 300, and he's relating to a lot of the men in that show, in that movie, because of the struggle, the male experience. I'm not going to go there. Women like to see themselves, aka like someone who look exactly like them or similar to them, and be like, oh, that could be me. Representation is a very feminine thing. I don't care if someone looks like me. I can identify, oh, I want to be rich like Trump. A lot of black rappers were saying they want to be rich like Trump. Is Trump a black man? No. He's a white dude from New York. From the Bronx. No, he ain't from the Bronx, but men relate to him. They're like, yo, I want to be like this guy. They don't even share skin color. It's natural in men not to see color. While women, they like representation. They like to see someone who looks similar to them because then they feel accepted by society. That's where the whole representation movement comes from. That's why I look at some black men when they go, oh, I want to be, it's so great to see people on the screen that look like me. I'm like, To me, you come across feminine. That's just me, right? And even me, I am a stereotype in and of itself because I grew up with a man. I had my dad in my life. A lot of black men don't have their dad in their life. So the only influence they have is women. In schools, majority women, the disproportionately women, they never had a male in their life. The only time they come across a man is in PE class or they do some type of sport. While me, I was exposed to a man from birth, still associated with him today. We still talk about politics today. I have that relationship with my father. And I think this is one it explains me to a T because I don't sit here and pretend I'm special. I'm just saying, look, I was exposed to different things, a different culture, a different way of looking at things. My dad told me, hey, just because you're black doesn't mean you vote Democrat, but because my dad was a Republican. And then people have the gall in the comment section to try to tell me, oh, your parents would have been ashamed of you. Are you stupid? Oh, no, you're just assuming that because you think all black people think the same. Oh, you think black people are a monolith. And then when people point this stuff out, that how black people tend to all agree on similar politics, then you want to say, oh, black people are not a monolith. Picking and choosing when you want something to apply. And this is why I think a lot of black men are done with the Democratic Party, for the most part. And not the most part, for for a large minority of black men, black women too, but that's less likely than the black men. And I think a lot of black men just saying, yo, this stuff's not working. We gotta try something different. And the black women don't because they benefit disproportionately from Democratic policies. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to make it racial. I'm not trying to say sexist stuff. I'm just telling you facts. The most loyal Democrat voter, black women. Look it up. Don't come at me in the comment section talking about, Kenny, you're being mean. I'm telling you the truth. But I digress. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll be interested to hear what you guys have to say. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.